Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon. I'm your host, Kritiksha, and I welcome you all to this exclusive event on women leadership today. The Times of India Group brings to you Times Professional Learning. Being the largest media conglomerate, the Times Group has diversified into several businesses, truly becoming a household name today. Times Professional Learning is an extended arm of the Times Group, a strategic investment in corporate education. TPL, in its 10 years of operations, focuses on enhancing the landscape of adult education, paving the path to become a global learning and development consulting firm. With this, let me welcome our special guest for the afternoon, Ms. CG Vargase, who will be sharing her insights on women leadership. CG has donned multiple hats as a corporate leader, facilitator, keynote speaker, coach, and as a passionpreneur in her rich experience spanning around 23 years. She is an impact driven facilitator and has been on TED platform twice as a TEDx speaker. She was awarded the Karmavir Chakra and the International WEE, that is Women Excellence Empowerment Rising Women Award, for her service to the women community to enable them unleash their best version. She has been invited as a speaker on various prestigious platforms like IIM Ahmedabad, Kalagoda Arts Festival, etc. Very recently, she addressed 18,000 young Indians on a virtual platform organized by CII, that's Confederation of Indian Industry. She's also been a guest at several national and international talk shows of repute. Without further ado, let me hand over the virtual dais to Ms. CG and request her to kindly commence with the session. Over to you, CG. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Pratiksha. And a warm welcome to everyone and good afternoon. I'm so happy that you all are here. Though I am not able to see any one of you, I would interact with you over the chat as well. So, a quick feeler, please use the chat box as much as you can so that I know that you're all there and with me too. So, once again, good afternoon and welcome. So, today's session, I'm going to be there for the next 60 minutes or so. And we're going to be going through certain important, startling facts as well as a small little mantra in the form of a construct called as Eureka. So I'm going to be taking you through this journey and I'm welcoming you all for this. Thank you once again, everybody, to being here. So let me just quickly check the chat box as to how it's with all of you. Are you there with me? So how energized are you at this moment? If five is the highest and one is the lowest, what is the score that you give for yourself? I'm a 5 on 5 because I'm super excited to be here. So let me know from each one of you. So I'm going to quickly get looking at the chat box because I'm going to get your messages on the chat. And thank you so much, Padma Reddy. That's a virtual chocolate for you for being the first to respond. Thank you so much. 3 out of 5. Hopefully, I hope you are a 5 on 5 by the end of the session. Lovely to see that. Thank you so much. Virtual chocolates, Priya, Vandana, Parimala, absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for being so fast and so responsive. Lovely. So I'm going to keep the session as a two-way one, very interactive and on a very discussive mode, so that we can learn better and it's not boring. One-side monologue. It would be like a dialogue, though the dialogue would be on the chat box and me speaking up. So I'm going to be sharing my presentation with all of you, and I'm going to keep my camera off because I have a little bit space or a bandwidth issue. So I'll come back to you again at the end of the session. So till that time, I'm going to keep my camera off. So I excuse myself for that and take you all through. Okay, so thanks for all the ones who have given me the responses. Virtual chocolates. So that's the best that I can do. A quick question to each one of you because now we are on talking about a diverse and inclusive workplace. If I were to ask you in our country, or let's say overall, women in the top leadership positions, if I were to just check with you, how much percentage do women how many women are there in the top leadership? So if you could just give me a random percentage that you think is appropriate, let me see, are you getting close to where I have my numbers? So what numbers or what percentage of women do you think? 5%? Soumya, you are very much there. So that's a virtual chocolate for you. Yes, you're almost there. You are very much there. Yes. So women in the senior leadership, it's, from the middle, at the middle management, we have a representation of 25%, whereas at the top, at the senior management, we just have 4% of it, which means from the mid management to the top management, we have a big major dip of 21%, which is like OMG, like we are hardly representing 4 to 5% of the total leadership positions. And at 25% to 4% is a 21% dip. So quick question to each one of you. Why do you think, why do you think is this dip happening? And I'm sure each one of us, we all have the answers. We all are also in the same similar positions where we are. We know there are so many women out there who represent the mid-managerial space, but very few who represent there. So what do you think are some of the challenges or the concerns why women don't make it to that, the 25% don't make it to the 4%? So why can't we have 25% in the senior management? So anybody, any thoughts on it? I love to share what I have researched, surveyed, and taken it on, but I would like to hear from you all also. Lack of support with respect to family obligations. Absolutely right, Padma. That's like, see that Dil say, and that's amazing. So virtual chocolate for the very first response. Thank you so much. So can I hear from some more? Of course, this is one, lack of support with respect to family obligations. I have been in the corporate space for 24 years, and out of that, 16 good years were into a lot of leadership positions where it was quite a tough task to manage between family and everything. Bias at workplace, very good. Absolutely right, Padma. We are going to be taking, also in the corporate space, acceptance of women leaders is limited. Absolutely, Parimal. No, I think that's the best thing that you said, because acceptance is also important. The unconscious bias that keeps coming in accepting women as leaders. So here's what we have found as some of the basic things or challenges. The concern, that is the sharp drop by 21%, is, as you rightly said, women are often unequipped to manage double burden syndrome like work-life balance. Ranveer, absolutely right. Risk-taking competency also, yeah, to a great extent, I come there. A social system that is unconsciously pulling us back, a lack of continuous and sustained engagement to help women stay the course. So if you've taken a sabbatical or if you've taken a break, and then to stay the course and have that support system becomes tough. Unconscious expectations, like unconscious negative expectations about commitment and capabilities. Yes, we're going to come there too. Retaining women talent, again, there are no right ways or there are inadequate ways to do that. So a lot has to do with the workplace, getting us engaged a little more differently, especially when you are planning to come back into the workspace after you finish with certain of your family obligations. And also there is a lack of existing women role models in the senior management. So these are some of the major concerns that has been, the reason for why there has been a 21% dip. So if we were to have a more inclusive and diverse workplace, of course, statistics says, sales organizations which have more number of women representations have higher profit margins than the ones which have lesser number of women representation. The boardrooms which have more representation of women have organizations which are more, they're perceived as more more inclusive. They're perceived as someone who can come with holistic solutions. They perceive to be more empathetic. They perceive to have lot many benefits because of the representation. So stats have proved that. And having women leaders to get into journey programs, enabling them to work on these challenges, as you rightly mentioned, as to how do we help them combat these challenges. It's really, really important, and it's the need of the hour for the organization. And what's the value add if women come on boardrooms from, it's so important to be a part of the boardrooms for a holistic, inclusive working space, and nurturing inclusive culture where every opinion matters and every voice counts, driving business excellence through richness of diverse perspectives at all levels. And this is amazing because women come with a very different perspective, especially, and that's very key, important for the organization. Okay, so Vandana has written myth that women do not need to grow. They have also other areas in life. So not focused, also salary packages differs as again myth that women don't ask or they are not major bread earners. So anything is fine. I totally resonate with this, Vandana. It's absolutely a fact. We have all those going on with us, and there's so much that we need to catch up with, and we need to also ensure that the people around us are in the supportive mode so that we are able to harness into that support and get there too. Thanks for sharing that, Vandana, so much. So when you have the diverse group, obviously the leadership group has more strength and also helps to build a brand of being a gender neutral and a fair organization. It helps in increasing innovation, diversity, and creating. It also helps in creating role models. Women role models is a source of inspiration for many, and these are some of the value add for organizations. Now, as we are moving on with understanding the leadership challenges and why it's important to have an inclusive workspace, let me all take you through a small little journey in here. And I'm going to give you a beautiful framework, which is called as Eureka. Now, you might be thinking, what is this Eureka all about? Let me just take you through that. And before that, let me invite you for a very interesting activity. And this activity is called as a personal wheel of life. And so I request each one of you to just quickly grab a paper, pencil, pen, or a notepad, whatever you could, because we're going to get into a smaller activity. And I want you to participate in that because it's a very powerful tool that I'm sharing with you. So go ahead, draw a circle with 8 spokes in it, just like how you have 8 spokes in a wheel. Just to give you a feeler about this particular tool, this is a very powerful tool. And the context that I want to set in is like most of the time, we are not able to place what exactly is the issue that we are, it's just like a wheel. If in the wheel, if you have the spokes of the wheel aligned, the wheel is going on track or it's balanced. But in a wheel, if you have certain spokes which is not aligned, obviously, the wheel is going to dilly-dally. Now, this is exactly what we happen in our own personal wheel of life too. When we have all the aspects aligned, we have a fairly better way of handling life, being in control and having a lot many things supportive and in our space. So I want you to just have a small little retrospective, introspective kind of a space with this tool. And I request each one of you to just kindly draw a circle and get an 8 spokes in that. And I'm going to take you through each one of it as one by one at a time. So I am going to ask you to self-score. And when I ask you to self-score, it's like a score between 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest. So you can score yourself wherever you want. You don't need to share it in the chat box. I'm going to ask you a question after the end of this exercise, and I want to answer to that in the chat box. So here 1 is the lowest, 10 is the highest. As you go on creating your personal wheel of life, just be mindful of what is the score that you are giving. There might be certain areas where you may score yourself pretty high, and certain areas where you may score yourself pretty low. And there would be reason for why you do that. So I'm going to come with the very first one, which is career. So how satisfied are with you with the way your career is progressing? Is it something that you always wanted to pursue, or you are not so happy or content in that? Does it bring you happiness and satisfaction? So that's the very first one. Go ahead and score yourself from 1 to 10 as we move on to the second one, which is finance. Are you aware about your own personal finance and how to invest, or how to deal with the tax? Are all your incomes enough to meet all basic needs and other needs? Are you not dependent on loans? Do you not have any debts? Is money the only thing that makes a person happy? What's your relationship with money? I move on to the third one once you have scored yourself. The third one, which is health. So, health is both three things: physical, mental, and emotional. So, how physically and mentally healthy are you? How do you feel? What are the emotions? Are they balanced, or do you feel stressed out, burned out, dissatisfied, angry all the time? Are you satisfied with the way you conduct yourself? Do you have any physical discomforts? To what extent are you engaged in sporting activities? A quick feeler on that, score yourself as we move into family and friends. Are friends supportive, unconditional, and trustworthy? Do you have 3 a.m. friends, and are you a 3 a.m. friend too as well? To what extent do you spend your free time with family and with friends? As I move on to the fifth one, romance. Have you found happiness in love? Do you have a partner on whom you can build the future? What's the kind that you invest time with your partner at the moment? Are you doing enough to keep the relationship and the spark on? As I move on the sixth one, which is personal development, how do you deal with personal growth? Are you open to new experiences and eager to learn? How do you work on your upskilling and upgrading yourself? And I move on to the seventh one, which is fun and recreation. Are you enjoying life? Do you practice and pursue hobbies? How do you spend your freedom? How do you de-stress after a very hard, hectic day? How do you spend your free time? Go ahead and score yourself. When I finally move on to the last one, contribution to the society, do you help others? Do you volunteer? To what extent are you active at the volunteering clubs and in taking care of family members and elders? So after filling in all of the scores, now the wheel of life is completed. So maybe the spider web now shows some kind of surprises, peaks and drops, or regularity. What I wanted to check with you is that we have scores from 1 to 10. If you have scores from 8 to 10, 8, 9, and 10 in any of the spoke, it means that you are quite content in that space. If you have scores which are below 7 in any of those areas, obviously it means these are the areas where you need to work on. Now, here's something that I would like to tell you is this personal wheel of life is not something that you just do it for the day to day, but it's something like people who keep doing this once every 3 months, like, or in a quarter once, or in 6 months one, are those people who find that towards the end of their life, they are the ones who go with minimal regrets. Otherwise, most of us, we lose track about what's critical and important, and we miss out on that. So just a reflection, how do you feel about your life as you look at your wheel? Are there any surprises for you? How would you like to spend time in these areas? And which of these categories would you most likely to improve? Now, for me, a work area is my health, and a work area is, to a great extent, is time with friends. So health, so there is something called as knowing and doing. So we all know a lot of things about health, and I too know, but when it comes to doing, I don't end up doing most of the things. So here's something that we need to work on is like, how do we decrease the gap or eliminate the gap between the knowing and the doing? So quick question to all of you. What is your one or two areas that you feel out of the 8 spokes that you need to work on? This you could definitely share it. We don't want this course, but you can definitely share. For me, it's health and friends. What is it about you? I love to see or know from each one of you what is that works for you best. Contribution to the society. Thank you so much, Esther. And that's a virtual chocolate for you for the very first response. Health contribution, fun and recreation, health contribution, society. Wow. So which is this that everyone knows that probably we need to also look into contribution of the society, because we all know if all of the spokes of our life are done, we are more balanced, we are more in control and in charge of our lives. Beautiful. Health, fun and recreation, personal development and health. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I am going to quickly take you to the next beautiful activity. And this is something that I want you to share it on the chat box as well. Now, you have to draw in 3 lines on your page, maybe at the reverse side of it or wherever. Cater to all spheres: spiritual, mental, physical, psychological. Lovely. Thank you, Vandana, for sharing that. Okay, teen, you have to make 3 lines there, and I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. In the first line, you need to put in your name. On the second line, put in the name of your loved one. And in the third line, the relationship that you share with your loved one. So I'm going to look into the chat box to see your name, the loved one's name, and the relationship with you. So I'm in the chat box waiting to see. Waiting to see all the names on there. Esther, Suman, mom, Vani, Tanvi, daughter, lovely. Parimala, Rudra, my childhood crush, awesome. Padma, Swaroop, husband, lovely. I love that. Thanks for sharing, girls, and thank you so very much. Now, a quick question to each one of you, Jay and husband. Thank you, Samya, as well. Virtual chocolates for all the responses that you have taken. Now, a quick question to all the ones who have responded and to the ones who are watching here and checking out is whatever stopped you from writing your own name. So let's say Padma relationship with self. Padma loves Padma relationship with self. So my question to all of you, you have written someone else's name. So what stopped you? Thanks, Parimala. So what stopped you from writing your own name? Aha, I realize that you are realizing. Thank you so much, Ranveer. Now, I am sure we all have traveled by flights. Pre-COVID, post-COVID, many of you might be starting. And you know what the air hostesses keep telling, right? Put your oxygen mask first before you help others, right? So here's a quick question. 1, what stopped you from writing your own name? 2, don't you think you deserve your own love too? Don't you think you are important? And don't you think that if you can't love yourself, if someone else, how can you ask someone else to love you? Our focus is always once around us and never ourselves. Very true, Samya. And that's the reason I wanted to ask all of you, can we ever pour out from an empty cup? Can we anytime pour out from an empty cup? The answer is no. So when our cups are empty, can we do that? No. So very important is your self-love, self-care. So it's not about being selfish or just thinking about yourself, but giving yourself the due respect. and what you deserve the most. That's you. So if you don't have love inside, how do you love someone else? Then we are staying in a bubble which gets burnt out very fast. And you will find, oh my God, there's nobody who is loving me back. There's nobody who understands me. We burn out fast because we get exhausted with the resources that we have inside. So, first and foremost, as women, especially as I asked about the challenges, yes, this is something that we need to learn for ourselves, self care, self love, because we navigate things according to the way we treat ourselves. So when we say, of course, there's a support system that's needed, but did you know that if you were to set expectations, manage expectations in the family also moves around it, but we ourselves aren't sure whether we can do it or not. So what stops each one of us is nothing but ourselves. So I'm going to be sharing a beautiful mantra or a tip or trick, whatever you say, when you want to brace yourself to more power while you are a working mom, working person, and you also want to manage a lot many things which is critical and important in your personal wheel of life too. So I have this decoding the Eureka moment. So let me just take you through this. The very first alphabet of Eureka, that's E. It's like most of us, we shy away from this. And a quick question to each one of you. Are you a brand? Are you a brand? Do you say yes or a no? Do you think that you're a brand? Yes or a no? What do you think? Are you a brand? Are you a brand? We know about brands, right? We have heard about brands all the time. So I'm just quickly asking, are you a brand? I love that. So everyone knows that we are a brand. Absolutely. Now here's what we have to remember. There's something called as the ABCD of personal brand. And what is it all about? We are the way what people perceive us behind, or rather, when we leave the room, people talk about all of us. And probably they say Parimala is very hardworking, Siji is very funny, and Soumya is very intelligent. They are all kinds of perceptions around us, and these perceptions are the brand, right? The brand that it is we. Now how does the perception comes? The perception comes on the basis of this ABCD. It is on the basis of how we appear to someone, that's appearance. The way we behave with somebody, that's the behavior. The way we communicate about ourselves, and the way we inflect and communicate with others. And finally, as in today, it's the digital footprint that is very critical and important. So we are all on social media. Are we branding ourselves rightly, answering to the right, or posting on the right spaces, or replying to the responding to the right spaces? How are we being known, and why is personal branding so critical and important today? Obviously, we know we have to stand out among so many others who are around us. And how do you stand out? You have your own unique space, and you need to stand out in that area. So what do? Build up your personal brand. And that's what ensures that you can go ahead, create that space, ask for that salary, negotiate for that salary. In fact, negotiate for the or ask for that promotion very confidently, because people know that you are visible and your efforts are visible. And that's all possible only when you do a personal branding. So that's the very first one in Eureka. What matters most is how you see yourself. Now, I'm going to be sharing one story with you, and I'm going to ask you a quick question on this story. So you can say it as a story riddle. There was this father and the son in traveling in a car, and the father was dropping the son for an interview, a very important interview in a firm, in a mutual fund firm. And the father takes the son to the interview. The son attends the interview, and he comes back, and he's traveling back with his father. And suddenly a phone comes from the other side, and it says, "Congratulations, son, you got the job." That's what came from the other side of the phone. Now, can you tell me, what did you understand from the story? So, "Congratulations, son, you've got the job." That's what he hears on the other side of the phone when he is traveling with his father back home after the interview. So, you want to give a try? What is it that going to be? Creating confidence. Okay, what else? What do you think? Who is there on the other side of the phone, Vijaya? Absolutely right. His mom, his mother's voice. Absolutely right. You're bang on. Most of us fail to reply to this because we all come with the unconscious bias. How could there be a woman as the CEO on the other side who is ensuring a job to the son? So most of us keep racking our brains, like, who's there on the other side if the father is here, and congratulations, son. So important in Eureka is we all carry a lot of unconscious bias with us. Like, once we said, acceptance of a woman as a leader, the points that you made a little while back, it's so true. For us, that stereotyping, the gender bias comes so much in a different space. How are we ourselves leading or treating to that? Or reacting or responding to that? We all have those unconscious biases, those self-limiting beliefs that probably I can't do it, I can't manage. If I have to manage my home, I can't do my work. And if I have to do my work, I may have to let go of my family. But the thing is that we can do it all, but we have so many of those limiting beliefs that we have. And Leena and I, we've heard about her, the CEO of Channel, that she has a lot of things that she keeps sharing. And one very inspiring thing about her is that she was somebody who would always look at her typical jobs which most of the women said, okay, this doesn't look like a woman's job. This is more man job. We have those unconscious biases. Okay, this is not for a woman, I can't handle it if I'm a woman, or it needs me to be out of the house for long spells and periods of time. So Lena says what worked in her favor was always taking those chances, was always taking those atypical jobs, which can ensure that she gets faster in that space because there's no other competition from other women, or when people have unconscious biases of being there. So that's a very beautiful thing that she shared with us. So as they always say, successful people have show results, and unsuccessful people have reasons. So many of us, we take resort to excuses and probably reasons. So here's something that she says: it's important to be your own superhero and write your own story and the journey that you have to be taking. And this is another quote from Sheryl Sandberg again, another amazing, inspiring women leader who made it to the top, and who says even while she was nursing her baby, she would be sitting in conferences or having video calls, and she still would manage all. And how it's important for us to know that this is where the acceptance starts, when we start accepting ourselves too. The next thing in Eureka is the R, which is reprogramming and reaffirming your thoughts. So, a quick question to each one of you. We process a lot of thoughts through the day. Any idea, if I were to ask, any ballpark number for the number of thoughts that we process a single day? I know you would come up with saying limitless, uncountable, innumerable, but don't give me those answers. Give me answers like, what do you think could be the number of thoughts that we process in a single day? I love to see some of your answers. And let me see how close you come. A million, 20 to 25. You've got a super active mind, Ranveer. 250 to 500 thousands. Wow, lovely. Now, here's what psychologists say: we process one thought per second, which is close to 86,400 seconds a day. But since some of the time we are sleeping, or we are more operating from our unconscious mind that time, we process anywhere between 60 to 65,000 thoughts every single day. Now, psychologists say 78% of the thoughts are negative. Now, here's why I was saying it's important to keep rewiring, reprogramming, because many a time the most negative thing that we all deal with is with the word called as fear. And yes, fear has two meanings, and it depends on what is that we choose to work with. Fear could also be forget everything and run, which we love to do, or face everything and rise because it's difficult to face our fears. So, the number one negative that we all nurture, nourish is the word fear. We have a fear to maybe write here, to maybe chat here, or anything, whatever. But we have fears of multiple things: fears of missing out, fear to ask for a rise, fear to negotiate for our salaries, fear to take up a new job, fear to take up a job which looks that's going to be menacing for a woman. Could be multiple fears, right? Now, it's important. Are we wanting to conquer the fear and rise above everything? You have endless examples of beautiful women who have conquered their fears and made it to the top. Arunama Sinha, Aarti Dogra, she's a 3 feet lady who had been bullied all throughout. I'm sure all of you remember Arunama Sinha. She's the one who was traveling in a train. She was pulled out of the train while somebody wanted to just steal her purse, and she jumps out of the train. There's some kind of hand fist, some kind of fight, and she loses her leg under the train. And that's when she decides that nothing is going to stop her. Even she's not going to be playing the victim card. She wants to be the victor. And that's where she climbed the mountain, and we all know the rest is history. Similarly, Aarti Dogra, a 3 foot lady who was bullied all throughout, but look at the next bit of her picture. It's so inspiring. It's so what you say. It's so magical that she runs the whole space and commands the whole space. A 3 foot lady, I mean, not being feared about or being bullied about, and she has people. She's an IAS officer. So you have umpteen examples around you, around all of us. So you need to ask yourself, what would I do if I weren't afraid? And then go and do it. So I come with the other formula of E in Eureka, which says evolving a growth mindset. I'm going to ask you again a story written, and this is beautiful. You see, this is Sea of Galilee and Dead Sea. These are two seas or two river bodies, which has the source of water from the same river, the river of Jordan. Okay. Now, if there's the same source of water in Galilee Sea, you find all the amazing aquatic flora and fauna thriving in there. And the Dead Sea, as the name says, it does not even have a single microorganism in it. So my question to all of you is that if the source is the same, that's the river of Jordan, why is it two different natures in the Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea? So answer me. Love to hear your thoughts. Why do you think there are two bodies that respond absolutely different if they're coming from the same source? So one has a thriving flora fauna and one has absolute no organism, not even a microorganism thriving in it, growing in it. Any thoughts? You girls are smart, and everyone's smart, and you can give me all answers before. Anyone for this? Movement. Okay. What about movement? You can just write a little more, Vijaya. The atmosphere conditions are different. Okay, Esther, you are a little there, but let me go ahead and tell you this. The Dead Sea, if you look at both the seas, the Sea of Galilee, as the second one is end, fixed boundary. Okay, you're right. So you almost there. Okay. So in the Sea of Galilee, it's a flowing water. The water flows on and on. But in the Dead Sea, it's landlocked. So as you said, it's a boundary. So what happens is that it gets stagnated, saturated, and the salt level in the water keeps on increasing so much that none of us can go and swim in the water, not even a microorganism, because of the salinity in the water there. Now that's the difference. Now, why the story here is like most of the time we get stagnated, we get fixed, we get saturated, especially when we talk about thoughts. Right? Here is important that we become flowing and have an evolving mindset or a growth mindset, because having an evolving or a growth mindset is beneficial to all of us, because that helps us to grow, that helps us to become better, and that comes with a lot of effort, because there is no magic ever happening in the comfort zone. Comfort zone is the most beautiful place that you could ever see or be, but no magic ever happens. So if you want to see the magic happening, you need to be outside the comfort zone, in the effort zone. Only when you have the efforts can you see yourself growing, achieving objectives, setting new goals, finding your purpose and meaning, making your dreams a reality, having loads of self-confidence and belief. So important is adopting and evolving in a growing mindset. Not just saying that I have lived my life all this way, so I'm going to be this, I'm not going to be wanting to change. But yes, as much as we love to say that we have a growth mindset, most of the time we operate from a fixed mindset because it's a very comfortable space to be in. So growth mindsets needs a lot of effort, and it's important to see how you could come from fix to a growing mindset. How could you develop on your growing mindset every single day? Because that is important. And that's why we say keep exploring, because every single day, if you were to become just 1% better than yesterday, imagine exactly 365 days later, that's 1 year later from today, you would be 38 times more better than what you are today, which means 1% better kindness, 1% more empathy, 1% more compassion, 1% more working on your personal development goals, 1% more upskilling. So, yeah, wonderful reaffirmation. Say this to yourself every day. You're here alive for a purpose and unique. If you fail or succeed, keep going as life takes each minute. Wow. Thank you, Vasana, so very much for sharing that and for saying that lovely virtual chocolate for that. So while you are keep improving and working on yourself, remember, find yourself a mentor, because this is the most beautiful present or the gift that you could give yourself is finding a mentor. A mentor, someone who has been there, done that, being your role model, and you know for sure she or he is definitely going to give you the best advice around. They're going to be the best mentors for you to lead a life which could be more purposeful, more meaningful. This is the number one mantra, right? Have yourself, find yourself or mentor. A lot many things just falls in place because you can see it from a different perspective. You can be falling in sync with a lot many things. Your learning curve is reduced. I mean, the learning curve time is reduced dramatically because you're learning from the experiences of someone already, and just you can just then jump ahead, kickstart a lot many things. And rightly, as Shara says, fortune always favors the bold, and you will never know what you are capable of if you don't try. So keep pushing yourself, because you don't know how much better can you get. Even the word push has a very beautiful meaning. Persist until something happens. So are you ready to persist until something happens and see? can you get better in this? We all get better when we have setbacks in our life. We all have setbacks in our life. It could be a COVID, it could be an illness, it could be a loss of a loved one, it could be a financial loss, a job loss, a health issue, and we all have setbacks. Important is how fast can you come back? How fast can you, uh, how fast can you come back, and how fast can you bounce back, and how resilient are you? And with that, with resilience is important is adaptability, because everything around us is so dynamic and so much changing that adaptability is very, very critical. I want to share this with a lovely little story. So we've heard about it, read about it, I'm sure, about this piece. This is from Central America. So there's this river called Choluteca River in Honduras, and the entire place in Honduras is well known for the storms and floods that keep happening every year, and because of which there's a lot of property and human loss. People were so fed up. Like in 1998, they come out with a bridge for the Choluteca River, which was an engineering marvel, and it was built to last. In 1999, a hurricane Mitch comes in, and close to 7,000 people lose their life. And the whole place is in shambles. But this bridge, which was built in 1998, which was an engineering marvel, it just stayed there perfectly with no damage at all happening. It was built to last, but you know what happened? The river, post the floods and the storm, subsided. The river changed its course. And suddenly, the Cholutaka Bridge was a bridge to nowhere. As you can see in the picture, it's a bridge to nowhere. It's something which is not making any purpose or use as on now, because the river changed its course. So important is how can we be adaptable? More than built to last is how can we be adaptable? And so here is Eureka for all of you. That's evolve your personal brand, work on your personal brand. That's the ABCD: appearance, behavior, communication, digital footprint. Work on how you are talking about biases around you, self-limiting beliefs that you carry on. Reprogram your thoughts, because where your focus goes, that's where your energy flows and your results show. Evolve a growth mindset, keep improvising every single day, and be adaptable. So once again, keep practicing your personal wheel of life, because that's what is important for you. And as I was saying, when you go through leadership journeys, when you go through journeys in personal development for self, it's like each leadership intervention, each leadership journey that we give to women leaders, it helps the women to be more purposeful, bold, and being a breakthrough leader. Because whatever you do, that's adding on more power to her, leading with purpose, leading with, differentiating and excelling through her strength, operating from the space of deep respect for self and others, and a lot many things. So you give them more power through leadership interventions, through leadership journey programs, and that's very important for us to create a more diverse and inclusive workspace. So a quick one for all of you: reflect on what is that you need to work on, and remember you have an immense store of power within you, just waiting to be tapped. So I'm going to be saying that this is almost the fag end of my presentation, and I would love to ask you, from all that we did, from the exercises and a little bit of Eureka and the personal wheel of life and about self-care, what is that you're going to take with you from today? Love to hear it from each one of you on the chat box. And I'll be more than happy to take any question and answers. Thank you so very much for being such lovely participants. You were really very interactive, and I really enjoyed seeing all those responses. Thank you so very much. Eureka, thank you, Sanat. Eureka, Mantra, Ranveer, sorry, Vintria, thank you. Thank you so much. Self-pride and care, thank you, Soumya. My takeaway is the personal wheel of life. Thanks, Parimala. Thank you so much, Ranveer. Eureka, lovely Esther. Thank you once again, everybody. If you have questions, we could take it on, or and I could take it on to Pratiksha. Thanks, Vandana. I hope to have it more.
Thank you so much, Siji, for this insightful session. I'm surely have gathered a bucket of my insights, and I'm sure the audience has too. So thank you very much for sharing that. I'd like to thank Siji for sharing her valuable time with us, and I would also like to thank each and every audience who's been there. I hope you've benefited the most out of this session. If you would like to know more about the women leadership offerings from us, please feel free to reach out to us. We have our website available. You can reach out to us via that. This is your host, Krutiksha, signing off. Have a great evening ahead. Thank you so much.